Greetings, friends. I'm excited to be back on the podcast recording wagon. I had a little bit of a break just due to some work travel and life and vacations and whatnot. So it's been a few weeks since I've interviewed somebody, and I could not think of anybody better to interview than my friend David Murgio. David is a senior vice president and chief sustainability officer at Ranpak. If you recall, I had another someone from Ranpak on, Brian Boatner, and we learned that Ranpak stands for Random Packaging. And David was very sad that he couldn't break that news. So maybe we can pretend like we don't know. And then when we pull him up, we'll be like, what does Ranpak stand for? And David will be like, it stands for Random Packaging. And we'll be like, yay. And we'll make him feel so good here on the People of Packaging podcast. Let's get going right after we hear from a few of our sponsors.
Specright allows us to centralize our spec data in an easy-to-use and searchable platform. Puts everyone on the same page with up-to-date information and helps us to adapt quickly to business needs and sustainability reporting.
Also, we are excited to announce our newest sponsor, which is Trayak, which has a great LCA software called Compass. We're going to be talking with David about sustainability efforts. And so what better opportunity to talk about this great partnership that we have with Trayak. They are doing just some incredible work helping brands to understand how to measure and deliver on their promises for sustainability. You can check them out, trayak.com. trayak.com. Trayak, and look up Compass, or you can click the link down in the show notes. All right, we are joined here by the man, the myth, the legend, David Murgio. David, when I introduced you, you probably definitely didn't hear, but you're with a company called Ranpak. Would you like to tell our listeners, what does Ranpak mean?
Oh, this is a great story, Adam. Let me tell you.
Let's hear it.
No, a little bird told me that one of my colleagues already spoiled the surprise. But for those of your listeners who haven't already heard, Ranpak, we're a company that was started about 50 years ago, 50, in the early 1970s, 71, 72-ish. And it was, the goal was to create packaging systems for random items that come down a conveyor. So the RAN is random and pack is pack.
I love it. It's so much better. This is a story I don't know that I've told on the podcast, so
that's good. You heard it back from the
source. At one point in my life, I started a church, and I was super excited about it. I was young. My background is actually in pastoral ministry, and so I found these two Greek words that I thought were amazing. And one was charis, charis, which means grace, and then zeo, which means life. And I wanted this church to be a place where grace and life sort of met. So it's called Charizao, Charizao. And I did everything. I filed all the stuff. Started the church and everything like that. And maybe a month into it, I was reaching out to a friend to be like, hey, you should come. It was like a home church. And he goes, yeah, bro, I just got one question. Why'd you name your church after a Mexican sausage? And I was like, what? He's like, chorizo?
Chorizo? Like, no, the chorizo church.
That's a chorizo church. Not even kosher. So I was the pastor of the chorizo church.
That's good. You had good buffets though, right? Good barbecues and stuff.
Great. Yeah. Great.
It's all good stuff.
Every time I see chorizo now, I'm like, oh gosh, just reminds me of a time when I tried something and it didn't quite work out, but that's okay.
Right.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Absolutely.
Well, David, why don't you tell me a little bit about, so we've learned now about Ranpak, but how did you get involved with not only Ranpak, but then also to get involved with your passion towards sustainability?
Yes. So my background is I'm actually a lawyer. I went to law school many, many, many years ago.
Okay, this is, we're done here. Thank you all. How much am I paying for this?
Yeah, I'll send you a bill. Don't worry. We bill by the hour. By the 10th of the hour. No, I don't.
Spoiled again by the
lawyers. So I come out of law. I was a lawyer for many years. I worked on a lot of corporate governance and corporate problem solving and that kind of thing. And about, I want to say, 10 years ago, I moved and worked for an investment company where I met our CEO and our CFO and some of the people who are at Ranpak, and I started to get involved a little bit more in helping with products and helping with the operations of different companies. And then when we acquired Ranpak about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I was always very interested in sustainability. I come out of the Northeast. I live in Brooklyn. It was something that's always been kind of close to my heart and my kids' hearts. I have children who are in their 20s. And I took over as Chief Sustainability Officer at Ranpak about 5 years ago. So that's when I really started to dive into packaging and sustainability. And it's been terrific ever since. I tease my colleagues here at Ranpak, including Brian, that I think I have the best job in the entire company by far, because I get to sit kind of up top and look across all the different operations and facilities and geographies and really understand how we operate and make our product on one hand, and on the other hand, because we're such a sustainable company, our focus and our product is so focused on sustainability, I get to lean forward and talk to customers and client and people like you, Adam. So I feel like I have the best job in the whole company. Don't let Megan here. Megan's our head of marketing, who's set you and me up, for those of you out there.
Yes.
But yeah, it's the best job in the company.
That's awesome.
I try to keep it a secret so nobody else tries to move in.
Now it's out.
Now it's out.
Now it's all out there. Yeah, for the hundreds of people across the world who listen to this, it's the news has been broken. So do you think it helps coming from all jokes aside about lawyers?
Yeah.
I have a few friends who are dear friends of mine who are lawyers, and you're not all bad people. At least
most of us.
Most of you,
yeah.
But do you think that sort of like analytical legal
Hugely.
background has really
Hugely.
helped? Okay.
Hugely.
Talk about that a little bit.
It helps in a couple of different ways. First of all, so I was a corporate lawyer, which meant that I worked back when I was much younger on these large sprawling projects that had multiple different facets and different people coming to you with their different areas of expertise. You'd have your environmental lawyers, or you'd have your employment lawyers, and trying to keep these projects moving forward with lots of different, and bringing lots of different specialties to bear. That's very much exactly what I do as a Chief Sustainability Officer at Ranpak, because I'm constantly reaching out to a lot of people who know a lot more than me. Our head of operations, right? I mean, they know how to run a plant much better than I'll ever know. Our engineers, all of these different people, and pulling them together and kind of consolidating all their different viewpoints towards a common goal, which in our case is sustainability. And like I said, we're really blessed at Ranpak because our business is so, our business at its core is about pushing the sustainability ball up the hill. It's super helpful to be able to do all of that. And then the second piece is kind of what you alluded to, the analytical piece. It's, being, so much of law is about reading texts and trying to translate texts into action and understanding what the text requires you to do.
I know this. I watched the show Suits. So
right, exactly. Just like it's exactly like in Suits. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm basically an expert at this.
It's exactly like in Suits.
Yeah.
And that's what my job is like. It's like a cross between Suits and Apollo 13.
Oh, that's fair. So reading the text and kind of getting into the details is sort of, it's what a lot of lawyers end up having to do.
Absolutely. And that kind of a training, I think, is super helpful for this job and for helping to really move the complex process of becoming more sustainable forward, because it's such a collaborative process. If you're really going to try to do it across all facets of the business and all facets in and outside the business with customers and suppliers, and just kind of keep, like herding cats and keeping everybody moving forward.
I get it. So I know we touched on this a little bit with Brian,
Mhm.
but let's kind of dig in
Sure.
on Ranpak from a sustainability
Absolutely.
perspective a little bit deeper. So one of my big things when I talk to especially CPG companies
Mhm.
is I put sustainability into 4 basic buckets, and I made them all start with the letter P because
Peak.
packaging, peak.
Totally.
It was kind of the Southern Baptist in me that likes to have everything.
It's like the chorizo. It's the
It's like the
marketing aspect. It's like the chorizo church. It's marketing. I get it.
But the first thing that I tell people is like, there's nothing sustainable about a busted product, right?
Absolutely.
So but I have to imagine it's difficult when you take random things and package them together to say this is definitively the best way to protect the product. I feel like there's probably multiple ways to protect the product. Do you ever get into the data for like an e-commerce company or for a direct sales or a CPG company around the sustainable nature of product protection and limiting not only shipping box size, but also in limiting returns from
Yep.
damage and breakage?
Damage rates, yes. So well, we have, and this goes, we have a team of of packaging engineers, right, who are engineers, and they have an awesome packaging lab. They pack stuff up, climb up on ladders, drop it, and stick it into chambers and vibrate it and do all this crazy stuff. So they're really the experts on that kind of thing, on that aspect. But absolutely, we at Ranpak are very focused on damage rates. And as far as I mean, you're absolutely right that sustainability, not sustainability, everything else aside, if a packaging system or a packaging configuration doesn't protect the package, protect the good that the product that you're shipping, it's useless. It can be the most sustainable thing in the world. It's not. It's useless, and obviously damage rates. There's all science around it. I mean, the return is as bad as the sending out. So I mean, it defeats the purpose of any sustainability upside. So yes, we are absolutely 100% focused on performance at Ranpak, and we have a whole department that focuses on that every single day.
That would make sense.
Yeah, and we have. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with our kind of product portfolio, but in our PPS, which is paper packaging systems business, which is the old blue machines that everybody's kind of familiar with, that we've had for a long time, those products kind of break down into three basic categories. Historically, there's the void filling empty spaces in a box. There's wrapping, which is different products for wrapping housewares and breakables.
Look, I'll pull up your site here.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Wrapping, which is think alternatives to bubble wrap, that in our case are all paper based. And then third is cushioning, which is a really cool set of products as well, which is all around industrial applications and wadding and crimping paper in such a way that it can block out heavy pieces of tools, machinery, whatever else. These are kind of the products you're looking at right now are really for kind of heavier industrial applications.
Got it. Yeah, if you're listening to it, you should go watch the interview because while I have a face for podcasting, David does not. He's a tremendous man.
I have a face for radio, right?
Yeah, so you can see here you've got cushioning.
Yeah.
You can search on here by industry. You can search by need.
Absolutely.
So if I go, it's always dangerous to kind of live click through a website.
Yeah, you're gonna live click on this website through. There I am, right there.
Oh, there you are. There's David on the sustainability site.
So the key, just to follow out, this is probably where you're going, is that all of our products, all of our paper packaging systems are, it's all paper-based consumables, 100% paper-based consumables, period, full stop. So all of that void fill, those cushioning products, those wrapping products are all 100% paper. They are easily recyclable at home. We know how to recycle them, right? My kids know how to recycle paper. There's no fumbling around about what kind of plastic this is. Does it have to be washed? Does it have to be washed? Is it taken? Doesn't it? You know, all of that is just not even a part of our, not even part of the circularity calculation for our products, because it's all 100% paper. If you have a municipal recycling program in your area, which most Americans do, it can just be taken away and easily recycled, no questions asked, which I think is the key.
We've got on here, all of our paper packaging materials are renewable, biodegradable, and curbside recyclable.
Correct.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are listening, it's just craft paper. I say just because my packaging engineers and my engineers might kick me if they heard me say that, because it's all different tensile strengths and different thicknesses depending on the application. But to kind of me and my mother, as I always say, it all just looks like an old paper grocery bag, like you used to get in the grocery store. And therefore it's as recyclable as a paper grocery bag. Anybody can just put it on their curb and it'll be taken away and recycled, unlike so many plastic alternatives, especially the plastic films, which are particularly difficult to recycle.
Yeah, and I think that's a really critical part about sustainability as a whole, which is we are inundated with so much stuff all the time.
Yes.
And I mean, my kids I'm their dad, and I'm in the house a lot, and they're asking me constantly, Dad, can I recycle this? I'm like, you're gonna have to take off the shrink sleeve because I'm not really sure if that's a recyclable shrink sleeve. Or I don't know. When in doubt, throw it out. So I'd put that one in there. But most people don't have that sort of resource, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that it's important to have products like what you're doing at Ranpak that pretty much everybody knows. Like, hey, if I put this in my recycle bin, there's probably someone who's going to be there saying like, thanks, we want this.
Exactly.
Because recycled paper has a tremendous value on the back end, and it's been around for so long. We've been recycling paper.
We know how to do it.
Very long time.
We know how to do it. And when I say we, I mean we as a society, we know how to do it. I mean, to your point, so I have, as I mentioned, my kids are all in their 20s. My middle son just graduated college, and he was
from where?
From Wesleyan, in Connecticut.
Okay.
He just graduated, and he was a double major in architecture and environmental sciences. So in my house, we've got me, who's a chief sustainability officer of a company, my son, who's a recently graduated environmental sciences major. And the fact of the matter is, when we get a piece of plastic, we're scratching our heads as to what to do with it. And as far as recycling and whatnot. Now we live in New York City, so it's all single source. It's a single stream, so it's just goes in one place, and New York kind of sorts a lot of it out. But it's very hard to keep up with and understand and to really convey to the public in a way that people can act on, with advice that people can act on how to go about recycling different plastic substrates. I mean, that's just the reality. So I agree with you 1,000% that the great advantage of paper is everybody knows what to do with it. Everybody knows what to do with it, and the system will take it.
So let me ask you,
Sure.
I'm sure you've been asked this question before, but I saw recently on LinkedIn, was it on LinkedIn? No, it was a LinkedIn article through, I think it was Packaging Digest, which was, have we basically reached the apex of the paperization of packaging? Because I don't know, I was born in 1980.
Yeah.
And so when I was growing up, you picked the plastic shopping bag because it was better than cutting down trees. That was the whole thing, right? Like Fern Gully was a movie that I watched, and it was this whole thing. And I work for a paper-based, like we print folding carton boxes and corrugated litholam boxes and things like that, right? So this isn't like a gotcha or trap question. I'm just
I'm curious. Yeah.
When you are asked in a meeting, I'm guessing as a chief sustainability officer, you get pulled into probably higher level meetings with clients.
Totally.
and they might go, well, we have data that shows whatever air pillows are, quote, more sustainable than your paper void fill because of whatever their things are. What would be a common response to that, question?
So it depends. It depends on what exactly they're talking about. So as far as deforestation goes, I'm pretty confident at this point with all the forestry, the forest certification regimes,
FSC and SFI.
FSC and SFI and PEFC, that that good forestry practices are actually good for forests ultimately. Yep. And the UN has even said that the best way to protect the world's forests is to have a well-managed, well-regulated forestry industry, because then there's an economic incentive for people to make sure that forests last. I think
I totally agree with that, by the way. I think
yeah, I totally, yeah. And that's not to say that there aren't, that's not to say that we should, cut down all the old teak forests in the Amazon. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about softwoods for paper and this, the kind of high, the high economic value forestry products for paper making and whatnot. So I'm very comfortable on the deforestation side. The interesting back and forth a lot of time revolves around greenhouse gases and greenhouse gas emissions. And while there are certainly some that's where it becomes kind of an application dependent kind of question, where some applications, some paper types, when set up against certain air pillows, you come out about on parity, more or less the same on a greenhouse gas emission. Other applications, like say some of our wrapping products against a bubble wrap, a plastic wrap, the amount of plastic film that's used in creating the wrap is just so much that the paper well outperforms the plastic, even on greenhouse gas. But aside from all that, what we have is the end of life is just so important. And that's where paper wins hands down. All the time. And the way I like to think about that, and this is something that I sometimes say, is secondary packaging, because we're talking about secondary packaging here, right? As distinct from primary packaging being the pretty box with the little window on it that shows the product that it sits on the shelf, right? We're talking here about
the best. The people who make those are the best people in the whole world.
They're the best. The best people. They're your customers, right? No,
yeah, it's me. I mean, that's what we make. We make those boxes, so
those pretty boxes. Our packaging is in order to protect products for shipment. The secondary packaging. And the idea, so my product, Ranpak's product, for the most part, these packaging consumables have a useful life of, depending on where you live, 1 to 5 days. I don't know what it is. I live in Brooklyn. I just ordered some books on Amazon. They're coming tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like
or
a matter
day.
of hours.
I mean,
or same day, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about an application that literally has a useful life of a day or two. On the long end, maybe it's a week, depending on, if you're shipping large pieces of metal or whatever, right? And it just always feels to me that as a society, it's kind of crazy to use a substrate that's going to last hundreds of decades to hundreds of years to fulfill an application that has a useful life of a year, of a day or two. It just seems like it's backwards to me as a society. So I view our niche, our secondary packaging niche, as really kind of, the low-hanging fruit in this drive to a more circular supply chain, because it's scientists will be sciencing, and they're going to come up with better products, better things, more sustainable things. They're in laboratories, they're thinking about it. Someday, everything is going to be more sustainable in a way that we can't even imagine today. But right now, today, if a large company wants to reduce their plastic footprint, they don't need to redesign their product. They don't need to spend a lot of time in a lab figuring stuff out. They don't have to get their customers used to a paper straw, say, and I have nothing against paper straws. I'm all happy about that. But the implementation, the customer acceptance of paper straws has been mixed. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm not a big like paper straws. I just am like, just you. It works for me because I'm like, I don't just don't give me a straw. I don't.
Yeah,
really,
whatever. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm agnostic on them. I'm just saying, but clearly the customer experience on paper straws has been mixed.
Yeah.
And the beauty about our product is it allows, and what we do is it allows customers to get the products they want, businesses to make the products they know how to make, and at the same time reducing their plastic footprint without having to redesign that product, without having to ask customers to get used to doing something different, because all we're doing is replacing the packaging that goes in the box, and it's not demanding anybody to do terrible change. Now, I think change is great, and when I think about the future as a human being, I hope that someday, you know, this plastic that my computer screen is made out of is more sustainably made and all of that, but that's all to come. And this is something we can do right now, starting tomorrow.
And it's such a great, this is the reason why I love this. I love doing this podcast is I've been doing this now for 6 years. And I've actually never thought when you made mention of like, why are we taking something that has a useful life of X? Now I do keep oftentimes my paper,
of course,
and reuse it for other.
So do I.
They ship stuff out. To be fair, if I get plastic air bubbles and they're still good, I'll keep those and reuse those. But it's like, I've never actually thought about why would we take something that we know is going to be perpetuated across hundreds, maybe thousands of years and use it for a same day to maybe 3-day shipment. And by the way, those shipments direct to consumer and e-commerce is only increasing,
Absolutely.
I mean, we do a lot of work, by the way, with like Walmart, and they have this RFID initiative. And a big reason why they are tagging RFID with a lot of their products is for shipping from a store to a customer in a sub 2-hour situation. Yep. So, but you're going to have to randomize these boxes.
Absolutely.
And you're going to have to put something in there to fill the void.
Absolutely.
And so I think you're totally right on, right? Like, so you're a lawyer, you're smart, whatever. But
when you think about it this, Adam, think about like imagine what you got for your birthday last year.
I didn't get anything. Everyone forgot.
Okay.
About.
Well, imagine the last time you got a birthday present 8 years ago.
I did. My family loved me. They gave me things.
Okay, think about it. Now think about what you got for your high school graduation. Whatever it is, whatever
that was 25 years ago. I'm failing
25 years ago.
My high school.
There you go. 25 years ago, whatever it is that you got, the packaging that was shipped in 25 years ago, it was probably plastic. I don't know what you got, maybe, bubble wrap and whatever it had. To the extent it was plastic, that stuff is still out there somewhere today in all likelihood.
Which is funny because in my background is my high school letter jacket, which is still
there you go. It's still there, just like your high school letter jacket.
There it is, yeah.
But that other stuff, unlike your high school letter jacket in your studio, that other stuff is like clogging. It's hopefully
in a
taking
landfill.
Up space in a landfill. Hopefully.
Yep.
Worse, it's floating around in the ocean or something, or we don't know what it's doing. And that to me always kind of blows your mind when you start thinking about like, what is it that I was given? What is it that I bought? Everything that I ever bought that was wrapped in bubble wrap, that bubble wrap is still out there somewhere in all likelihood.
That's interesting. It's a great point though. I got to imagine, Dave, and we'll kind of wrap it up here, that companies like Ranpak, as our world has sort of shifted and evolved, particularly, we're going to end up, I think, with like a different epoch of time that's going to be called PC, which would be post-COVID. I don't know how that's all. I don't know who decides that, to just be like, in the year 4 PC, we'll be like, huh. But we are sort of in the year 4 PC. Yeah. But this idea of order something from my house and have it arrive at my house had been around a while. but boy, it has just ramped up.
It has.
I would imagine it's not nearly the spike, and you probably have all this data, but the spike is not nearly what it was in 2020 and 2021, but it's still going up.
It's trending. When you look at the data spiked in 2020. It was like this going up. It spiked in 2021, but it's just receded back to its normal increase.
Yeah,
its normal growth curve.
Yeah, and with things like you've got Etsy, you've got Shopify. There's like I order shirts off of Canva that just ship. I make my own shirts and they just get printed and shipped. So you have this like late stage digital printing of products, whether it's a coffee mug or a t-shirt. It's like there's so much that is happening in our world that is not going to slow this down anytime soon, from what I can tell.
And that's why what the Amazons and what the Walmarts and what a lot of the big guys are doing now to shift to paper, why what they're doing really does matter.
Yep.
And why we can bend that curve, and everybody can, as I said, it's the low-hanging fruit. Everybody, when by buddy here, I mean every shipper of goods can do their part to help bend that curve without having to reorient and reorganize their products and their business and everything else, and why I think paper packaging is just so important and valuable and something that can be done tomorrow.
Yeah. Totally agree. Well, David, this has been great.
Good. Appreciate it.
Having a lawyer on the show. You can send me, like I said, you can send over.
I'll send you a bill. Where do I send the bill?
Yeah. You can send it to Corey Connors.
I got it. Corey Connors. I'll send it to Corey.
Sustainable Packaging Podcast. No, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you coming on. How do people showed up the website? So I saw you have your you had a sustainability report on the website.
We do. We're going to be publishing another one within the next, knock on wood, week or so.
Okay. Well, how about this? Maybe this episode comes out when your new sustainability report comes out.
That sounds great. And then you can link to it.
If you don't know, we record these and then they come out later. It's not live. So
this isn't live. Hello, America.
Yeah. You're not live. That was actually Megan's request. She was like, please do not, whatever you do.
We need to beep them. I'm on a delay.
But yeah, I'll put a link to your latest sustainability report down in the show notes. Awesome. And you can click on that. And I really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to play I have the end credits. So I've got my end credits I'm going to play. Don't be too surprised because I have shaved since I did these. It's a little shocking when it comes on because I need to re-record my end credits, but I haven't done it yet. So it's like, geez, look at that beard. It's incredible. But everyone, please go check out Ranpak, what they're doing. Like David said, it's easy, it's quick. It's the best way, I think, to make the quickest impact is to be able to take a look at your secondary packaging. I'm sure David can put you in touch with some sort of sales human.
Absolutely can.
Who can sit down with you as well. So David, I appreciate you coming in.
Appreciate it, Adam. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
Well, that is a wrap for the People of Packaging podcast. Hey, if you want some more packaging content, you can go pick up the book my wife and I wrote, Packaging Peaks in the Sticky Situation, available Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all sorts of places. And also, I want for you to go and follow my friends, Corey Connors. He hosts Sustainable Packaging with Corey Connors. It is incredible and it is wonderful. You can also go check out Avelio Matos's podcast, Packaging Unboxed. And you can check out the three of us every single Monday morning, 8:30 Mountain Time on LinkedIn, where we host the Packaging Today show. It is hilarious, and packaging is only half the story. So go check it out.